Hey, welcome. I'm Kristin Wood. If you're new here, I show up once a week and give you a keep it super simple tip. I call it a kiss from Kristin. And today I want to talk about I want to answer a question that I get asked. And it's, how did I figure out what the best diet was for me? And there is a best diet for you, and there's a best diet for me. And they're probably not the same. So today, if you stick with me, I'm going to give you the things that you need to look at so that you can figure out your best diet. Because I don't know what you have done in the past, but I know I tried the low carb, no carb, the low fat, no fat, you get it, all the different diet schemes that are out there. I gave them a try. And it's not that they didn't work. If I did it, if I followed it to a T, I saw results. But the minute that I had a craving, that I felt like I wanted to do, I wanted a treat, that I came off that diet in any way, it quit working. And if I cheated, if I had a treat that I wanted, it seemed like it was so hard to get back on track with it. So I'd fall off, and then the yo-yo would begin. I would gain everything that I'd lost, I'd gain it back. And I was so sick of that yo-yo diet. I could follow the things for a little bit, but there's certain foods that I just felt like I needed in my life. I wanted them and I didn't want to give them up. So what I had to do was figure out how to determine how those foods actually made me feel. And your body is going to tell you the answers if you listen to it. So if you're ready to do this, if you're ready to give it a try, it's all about getting curious and tracking and listening, seeing the clues that your body's given you, and learning how to determine, is this a hard no, or is this just not going to work at this particular time of day? Is this food not going to work when I combine it with this other food? So I'm going to give you the different things that you're going to track. Now, I really suggest you write this down. You may think you don't need to write it down, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of details and you need to write them down. Because if I ask you, what'd you have for lunch last Thursday? And how'd that make you feel? I bet you don't remember. We don't, there's so much that we have to remember in life. Some things are just easier to write it down and not have it pinballing around in your head. Just write it down so that after time, you can start putting things together and the clues are just going to show up. So what do you need to track? First off, you need to write down what you're eating. And it's just the big picture of what you're eating. You don't have to get involved in measurements. You don't have to be tracking your calories. Just a general idea. What did you have? Did you have chicken, potatoes, and green beans? Did you have tuna salad? Here's the thing. If you are making the tuna salad, I bet you're making it the same way you've made it for the last however many years. You don't necessarily need to write down every ingredient that was in it because you know what you put in it. You're going to be able to see that next week and know what was in that. Now, if it's something that maybe you bought a tuna salad sandwich at a convenience store, I don't know why you would do that, but maybe you did that. I would make a note about where you got it, what the brand was, something like that, so that when it comes down to it, if you can pinpoint that day you had a feeling that you don't want to feel again, you can pinpoint it down to maybe you don't get tuna salad at that particular convenience store anymore. So just a big picture, general idea of what you're eating. Now the question is going to be, what time did you eat? You want to keep track of what time because your body likes consistency, and it's going to help you see that, yeah, I do like the consistency of eating at a consistent time. I like how that makes me feel. Um, and when you don't, you're also going to be able to see how that feels. So it's going to start to show, do you need consistent timing? And what is the best timing for you? You're going to want to keep track of, I talk a lot about a hunger and fullness scale. I'm not going to get into that today, but how hungry are you when you eat? And then you're also going to want to make a note of when you are finished eating, how full are you? What's your fullness scale? And when I talk about this scale, it's just like on a 1 to 10 scale. At 10 being you're completely stuffed, and 1 being you're just satisfied. So where on that scale of 1 to 10 is your fullness when you complete your meal? Now, you're going to want to make note of what is your energy level. What kind of feelings are you having in your body? Are you ready to lay down and take a nap? Do you feel like you're just completely sluggish? Are you energized and ready? Are you just, maybe it doesn't even feel like anything, and that's good. But what's your feeling going on in your body? What's your energy level right after you eat? Then you're going to have to come back about 2 hours later and make a note again. What's your energy level and how are you feeling? 2 hours after you eat, it's really important to know, are you still satisfied, or are you feeling like maybe you need a little snack? Because if you need a little snack, you might start to notice, like, maybe one thing for me personally that I noticed was, if I have a meal that doesn't have a good amount of protein in it, then 2 hours later, I feel like I need to snack. And when you feel like you need to snack, that's just a trigger that it's going to be super easy to reach for something that's low nutritional, sugary, give you that quick energy. So you want to make sure that you start eating meals that keep you satisfied until the next meal. And it's totally possible. So I also, the tracking and going back, if you give this like 3 weeks, you're going to start to see a pattern, because we're all creatures of habit. We have, certain meals that we eat every day, all the time. And in a 3-week period, you're probably going to touch on most of the things that you eat. So give yourself about 3 weeks to do this, and then start looking for the clues. If something isn't obvious, go back and look, and you're going to start to see a pattern with certain ingredients. And then is this something I want to keep? Is this something I want to take away? And when you have a feeling that you can associate with it, when you know how that makes you feel, if it's a feeling that's not good and you don't want to feel it, it makes it so much easier to eliminate that item from your diet than just being told you can't have bread. Don't eat any bread. On a carb-free diet, when you're told you can't have bread, you automatically want it. But you might find that once you start tracking, you see that, I don't feel so good when I have a meal that is heavy in bread. And when you notice how you feel, it's a whole lot easier to decide, maybe I only go for half a bun. Maybe I go for a bunless burger. What's it going to be for you? I don't know. But it's so much easier to make the choice to eliminate something when you know exactly what it's doing to you. And the way you feel right now, it could have shifted so gradually over time that it's easy for you to say, oh, I'm just getting older, and this is what happens with age. I'm just busy in life, and this is just what happens. But that's a lie. That's not true. if you are getting the food that your body wants, you don't have to feel sluggish. You don't have to feel like this is just part of being old. When you give your body the nutrition that it wants, you're going to feel good. And one thing I found was that I could change the way I eat so that I went to bed and actually felt better going to bed. I didn't, my stomach wasn't working so hard to digest whatever I'd had for dinner that it was easier to fall asleep. It was easier to stay asleep. Um, so you may find that you start sleeping better when you're eating what you need to eat for you. There's so many things are going to open up when you get clear. Now, the other thing that made it easier to eliminate food was starting to release some of the stories that I had created around the food. Stories about why I deserved to eat it, how it was going to make me feel. I had a habit of using food to give me comfort, and maybe that's something you have as well. And when I was able to release those stories, that made it easier to eliminate some items. So it's a journey. You are going to have to write it down in order to be able to see the patterns. And you don't need something fancy to write in. Just get that spiral notebook that's left over from last year's school year. Your kid didn't use it all. Anything. Just write it down on anything. Maybe you've got a brown paper bag from the grocery store that you're not using. Write it on that. I don't care. Just write it down so that you can start to see the pattern and the trends unfold, and give yourself the knowledge to make the better choices for you. If this feels like it's something that's going to be hard for you to do, reach out. I'm available. You can work with me one-on-one, and we can work on this together for you to map it out so that it's easier for you to make the changes. I want it to be super simple so that you can get over the hump and have the weight goal, the weight that you're looking for, to have the health that you're looking for. It's totally possible, and you can keep it super simple and get it. So I hope you take some tips from this and put it into action. You have to put it into action in order to see a result. And I will be back next Wednesday with another Kiss from Kristin. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.